Hey, what's going on guys, Impulse here and welcome back to another top 5 list. This list will consist of my top 5 Pokemon from this specific typing on this list. The Pokemon on this list are based on their stats, their design, how I use them in gameplay and because of the anime as well. Before we go any further, I want to point out that only a Pokemon's primary typing counts. So taking the Dark type list as an example and Houndoom as the Pokemon, we can see that Houndoom is a primary Dark type, which means it's eligible for the list. Whereas Incineroar is a secondary Dark type, which means it's not eligible for the Dark list. Also, something else to note is that I won't be adding Flying type Pokemon to this list. Since most Flying Pokemon have Flying type as their secondary typing, I'm going to give them their own special video. So with the basics covered and the top 5 of my other typings in a playlist down below, let's get into today's video. And of course, if you're a new viewer and you enjoy the video, don't forget to meaty and mash those like, share and subscribe buttons. So it's been a considerable amount of time since I've done one of these videos, so I thought it was about time that I started to do them once again so I could get them all finished. So as you can see from the title, today is going to be electric type, and of course as I've already stated, there's not going to be any flying types included. So kicking off today's list is going to be Jolteon. Once upon a time, Jolteon used to be my favourite evolution. Even though its design's really simple, it's still really likeable. On top of those basics, it's still fairly decent for competitive play. It's got a high speed stat and it's got a moderate special attack, so it obviously needs a little bit of help with the need of a choice specs, and its move pool's pretty limited, but even still it can do the job fairly decent. I've used Jolteon in a number of battles in the past, and I even still use it to this day. Its ability is pretty good and it was pretty cool in the episodes, so I had to kick things off putting this in 5th place. So in this spot I'm going to have to put Electivire. Electivire is a cool mon, I really like its design and it's far superior to Electabuzz in my opinion because of the use of its ability. That ability of course being Motor Drive. There were many battles in 4th gen where I used Motor Drive on the back row, got a speed boost because of the safe switch, and yeah, it led to some pretty good sweeps. Electivire's got a nice move pool, lots of decent type coverage, so paired up with a Life Orb it can really put in a lot of work. I usually call this thing Panic, which was a nickname taken from one of my friends. He always used to call his that and it just seemed fitting, and it seemed wrong to call it anything else. I don't really use it as much nowadays, so I might have to kickstart it back up and give it a go. All in all, its design's good, its stats are good, and it's a mon that's really cool. So taking the midsection point in point 3 has to be my old favourite Pokemon before Metagross came into play, and that is Raichu. Raichu was an incredibly cool Pokemon which I first saw in the battles with LT Surge when Ash was trying to get his 3rd gym badge. That Raichu was super aggressive, it had a smug attitude and it was really awesome. Since that point, Raichu was my favourite Pokemon of all time, and then 3rd gen came out and we got Metagross, so Raichu had to take a slot on the back burner, but it's still got a cute little design and it's still powerful in its own right, although I'm more of a fan of normal than Alolan. Leave a comment with which one you prefer out of the two and I'll continue on to the 2nd place spot. So coming in at the 2nd place spot is one of my favourite mons from 7th generation. That mon is Tapu Koko. Tapu Koko is obviously very powerful, it's very good for competitive play, and that's because of its high speed and the use of its electric terrain. I've not really watched any of the Sun and Moon anime, but it looks to be pretty nice on the design side of it. They seem to have done it justice and it looks pretty cool. So I'm really considering having a look at one of the episodes that it's in just to see how it acts and such. Aside from Shiny Metagross, which is my favourite mon of all time, Tapu Koko actually has my next favourite shiny sprite. As you can see on the screen, it looks really cool. As you probably know, orange is my favourite colour, and orange and black always pair up well. The yellow and black colour scheme could act as a warning for anything trying to act aggressive towards it, but when you see it in its shiny form, it looks all that much more threatening, and that's just something I really like about it. So finally we've got to my number 1 spot, and I don't think many people would guess this from me, but my number 1 spot is Rotom. I've always been a big fan of Rotom ever since 4th gen because of the number of applications it can be used for. I really like the little quirky feature where it takes over different appliances and becomes different forms. Back in Diamond and Pearl, these forms used to remain as electric ghost types but just have the move, and obviously in 5th gen they changed that up, allowing them to have the second typing, which we're all familiar with today. Out of the existing Rotoms, my favourite one is Rotom Mo. It used to be the best one of the bunch back in 4th generation because of the typings and the ones that didn't exist back then. Now of course, the wash form's the strongest, but even still, grass remains my favourite. I've seen a number of different images that people have drawn for different types, and all of those fan drawings are really cool, such as toasters and blenders and all sorts of different things. Porta potties. But all in all, paired up with its amazing design, its flexibility and its competitive status, it's definitely deserving of my number 1 spot. So before I wrap things up, why don't you leave your list down in the comments section below. So that's going to cover it for today's video. As always, I'll leave some more videos in a playlist down in the description for you guys to check out. But if you don't want to do that, why don't you check out one of the videos on the end screen card. Thanks for watching the video all the way to the end, and if you did enjoy it or learn something useful, don't forget to meaty and mash that like, share and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Laters!